Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about something in crypto futures trading that many beginners don't really understand. I would argue even those who are maybe not absolute beginners anymore often don't understand what it is, and that's the concept of funding fees. If you've ever seen small amounts being added or taken from your futures account and you wondered why, that's typically the funding fee. In this video, I'll explain in simple terms what funding fees are, why they exist, and I'll also show you how to check them on the Bybit platform. That's the exchange I typically use. So we're going to take a look at it. We're going to go to the trading dashboard first. So it's all about futures trading because that's where funding fees exist. We go to the trading dashboard, futures, BTC, USDT, perpetual futures. And maybe before we dive further here into the dashboard and where you can find the funding rate or funding fee, what is it, right? So overall, a funding fee, it's a small payment that happens between traders every 8 hours when you hold a futures position. And it's not a fixed trading fee that goes to Bybit. It's a transfer between people holding long and short positions. And that's what many don't understand. They think we are paying Bybit here also, or the exchange. No. If the funding rate is positive, traders who are long, so those who have opened a long position here, who are betting on higher prices, they pay a small fee to traders who are short. And if the funding fee is negative or the funding rate is negative, traders who are short, so those who are betting on lower prices, do that here. They pay a small fee to traders who are long, right? So you only pay or receive funding if you're still holding your trade at the exact funding time. That's important as well. So why do these fees exist? By the way, you find them up here, yeah? Annualized 10.8%. It's changing all the time. Currently, long pays short. What that means, we're going to talk about that now. Now, why do these funding fees exist? Crypto futures on Bybit, but on many other exchanges as well, they are perpetual, which means they don't have an expiry date. Now, in more traditional markets, futures typically expire. In crypto, most futures are actually perpetual futures, so they don't expire. That's very different from traditional futures because they settle on a fixed day. And because perpetual futures could drift, theoretically, far away from the real market price, because they never settle, funding fees act like a balance. So if most people are long, the futures price often trades higher than the real spot price. In that case, funding fees make longs pay shorts. That motivates people to go short, and it helps bring the futures price back down towards spot, because the futures price finding mechanism and the spot price finding mechanism, they're actually separate. Yeah. Now, if most people are short, the opposite happens. Shorts pay longs, which encourages more people to go long, pushing the futures price back up. So the funding fee keeps the futures market close to the real Bitcoin or crypto price. Without it, the futures market could go completely out of sync. Now you see here, this is the current fee, and currently long pays short. Yeah? But this changes all the time. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. So here on the trading screen, obviously you see the funding rate displayed at the top of the order book. Bybit settles funding fees 3 times a day. Every 8 hours at, well, midnight, 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. UTC. So if you're in a trade at one of these times, you will either pay or receive the funding fee depending on the side you're on and whether the rate is positive or negative. It's just important that if you close your trade before the funding time, you won't be affected. Funding only applies if you're still holding the position when the timer hits. And this is important because funding can add up, especially if you're using leverage or holding positions for days. Because of funding fees, typically futures are not recommended to, be kind of long-term positions, right? It's more like short-term. So if you're long in a market where the funding rate is positive, you'll keep paying a little bit every 8 hours. And over time, this eats into your profits. But if you're short in that same market, you receive that funding from the longs, which can sometimes even offset a small loss. So smart traders always check the funding rate before entering a position, and they keep it in mind if they plan to hold a trade longer than just a few hours. So just to summarize, funding fees are small payments exchanged between traders every 8 hours. They do exist to keep the futures price close to the real spot price. Positive means longs pay shorts, at the moment happening here. Negative shorts pay longs, and you only pay or receive if you're holding a position when the funding time arrives. So it's not a complicated concept once you get it. It's just the cost of holding futures positions open for longer periods. That's basically it for today's tutorial on funding fees. Hopefully that clears up the mystery of why your account balance changes slightly while holding trades. MCO has partnered with Bybit to bring you this educational content. If you'd like to sign up and try Bybit, you can use the link in the description. With that link, you also get a 10% discount on trading fees for the first 30 days. Sometimes they have additional promotions running. You find out about these if you click on the link. Check it out if you're interested. Make sure you subscribe. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.